Hello, I'm going to be showing you the Curse of Zandri. This miniature is for the board game Dreadfleet, made by Phil Kelly for Games Workshop. I'm going to be doing some painting, give you some painting tips and my observations while painting this model, as well as some of the story behind the Curse of Zandri. King Amenhotep the Intolerant, Tomb King of Nehekhara, the high-handed avenger of Zandri, was raided. Captain Roth, in a quest for allies and the wealth to hire them, stole the treasures and riches of the coastal city of Zandri. He may have earned enough treasure to hire captains to his cause, but it was not without gaining the enmity of King Amenhotep. The Necrosphinx of Zandri was torn down and reconstructed on a mighty bark. 4 necrolith colossi were built into the hull. The Great Blade of Karpesh was mounted onto the prow, and the decks were filled with gigantic screaming skull catapults. The Jewel of the River Mortis was built into a large arching structure designed to send a solar beam into enemy vessels. A great pyramid sits atop the vessel and channels the sun's energy into the jewel. With the curse complete, King Amenhotep used the ancient star magic of Nehekhara to enter the galleon's graveyard, where he then allied with the vampire Count to get revenge upon Captain Roth. The ship is fairly small, but it took me quite a while. There's very small, intricate little red and blue triangles everywhere. The pyramid, the stone. It was fun doing the black stone. It was one of the reasons why I always wanted to get a Tomb King's army. And if you're a big fan of movies like The Mummy, it was always a really cool ship. And then it's got like a solar blasting laser, so that's neat. Or not. You can't tell very well because I have this so zoomed in. I'm painting about an inch or two from a Samsung S9 phone. But these triangles are extremely small. Here I'm applying a wash of, I think it's Agrax Earthshade again, and I loosely put this all over the model. I really like using these washes. It adds a bit of depth and value and shadow, and really to me it makes the details stand out better by using these washes. But they're designed essentially to run the paint into the recesses and not to sit on the raised areas. Yeah, so here when making mistakes, I just have some of the black paint and I'm just fixing up some of the gold. And that's all it takes. If you're new to painting miniatures, don't get too stressed out about perfection and getting everything correct. The important part is you're enjoying the process. In some sections, it's actually easier to paint it like this, like those hoods are really hard to get the gold just on the very edge. And it's easier to just kind of get the gold on and then clean that up with the black because you can run it along the surface easier. So just some surfaces are easier to paint than others. Now I'm going to build up the highlights on the statues, and they start off with black, and I'm just throwing on this deep dark green, and I'm going to build up with lighter and lighter values. I'm going to create finer edges as well as I get into the lightest highlights. Something for me that I need to work on is understanding where those highlights would be, and that's where I'd like to get into the object source light painting. Yeah, so when applying the highlights, as I've been taught, it's typically just on the raised edges, what are the highest points. And I do understand a little bit more now of just ensuring the highlights are at the top versus underneath, but I haven't actually applied any of that knowledge yet when I'm painting miniatures. This is an overbrush I'm applying over to the tops of the kind of the thatch on the side of the ship, and it gives a lighter highlight on those edges without trying not to paint inside those recesses that were shaded. With my brush I've wiped off most of the paint and I'm running along the tops, and there's not a lot of paint on that brush and it's been wiped on a paper towel first. I'm doing the same thing now with the gold. I'm trying to keep that darker gold underneath, and I'm just trying to get the raised sections with a highlight of gold. And again, I'm trying to avoid getting the paint inside those recesses and details. So I use the edge of my brush a lot as well, because I'm just trying to run it along the raised portion of the detail without painting it inside all those little crevices. There we are. This is a simple, small little model. It worked out really well. I think my biggest complaint is just the oars. As we attach them here into the water, it creates kind of a big line. There's a seam you can easily see with the oars, the way they attach them. I forgot to do the end highlights on the blue and red checkers, so now that I've put it together, I'm finishing up those final highlights. I'm just trying to get a little bit of a lighter color inside there, so they stand out and pop a little bit more. Yeah, it was fun. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. The Necrosphinx of Zandri. You can see the rest of these ships in the Dreadfleet playlist. Each ship is unique, its own little puzzle, trying to figure out how to paint it. Thank you very much for spending the time to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned some things.